I when I talk about this, I'm literally like, thank God this was not my experience, because with my like health autoimmune stuff, I would definitely be hospitalized throughout all of it, like that amount of stress. But like, it's nitty gritty. If you want to talk about like tit for fucking tat, this is it.
It's behavior, bitches.
Hey guys, it's Liat. Welcome back to today's episode of Behavior Bitches Podcast. I'm so excited because I have my fellow behavior bitchy bestie, Kara, here for the show.
Hello, everyone.
Kara's in town, so it's always fun to add her in whenever she's here. And Kara and I have been up to a lot of fun things. It's a short trip she's here for.
Yes,
but
2 days. But we're cramming everything in for the new year.
We're cramming. That is true. So look out for all the cool things coming Snaba's way. You will be very excited, I'm sure. All right. I don't want to really hold up any further to who our guests are today. It's a topic that I think a lot of people will resonate with, just based on pure statistics. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, wow, I really needed this. So, Kara, can you give us a little bit of an intro of who our guests are today?
Yes. So today we have Jan and Jillian Yuhas. They are sisters and are certified family mediators, co-parenting coaches, and authors of Boundary Badass, a powerful method for elevating your value and relationships. They specialize in coercive control in high conflict dynamics by guiding co-parents to overcome the challenges of divorce through creative solutions that are child-centered. Their expertise is a blend of family, psychology, conflict resolution, negotiation strategy, boundaries, and real-life experience to guide and serve all family members. You can learn more about Jan and Jillian through their mediation services, documentation analysis, and coaching programs at divorcefamilymediations.com. So welcome, Jan and Jillian.
Thanks for having us.
Whoa, are you guys twins?
Cool.
Are you twins?
Oh, you are twins. Okay, I was gonna say you guys look really
yeah.
alike.
So if you don't watch our YouTube, this is the time to like definitely go watch on YouTube, because I literally feel like we're seeing double. And the way that they just did that responding thing was such a twin thing.
Awesome.
How often does that happen?
A lot, yeah.
They were like, no, you say a lot, not me.
Yeah.
We don't want to say it at the same time. Amazing. Okay, so just to have a little fun, get to know you guys a little bit before we get into the exciting topic of co-parenting and divorce, we're going to play a little who is most likely out of the two of you. Especially now that you're twins, it kind of makes it more fun.
I was going to say.
All right. I'll do the first one, then you go, Kara, okay?
Okay.
Who is more likely to bail on plans to stay home in pajamas?
Me, Jillian.
Okay. Who is most likely to fall asleep during a movie?
That could be either one of us.
Yeah.
Both of you. Okay.
Befriend a stranger in a line at Starbucks.
Neither.
Not
Not friendly? Okay.
Not friendly? Okay. Who's
No,
most...
we're friendly. We would never start. If someone starts a conversation with us, then we would talk to them, but I don't usually
Initiate it?
I would not initiate it. I let people go about their business.
I'd probably be the one initiating it with you.
Yeah, I feel you, though. I feel like if they talk to me, I'll talk. But, okay. Who's most likely to try a new TikTok trend first?
Neither one of us are TikTokers.
I know. It's hard, right? TikTok is hard. Who's more likely to forget where they parked the car?
Not me. We're both pretty good at that.
You guys are one person, literally split in half. This is wild.
crazy.
No, we have differences.
This is great.
This is amazing.
Okay, who is most likely to be the peacemaker at family holidays?
Me. No, I think I am. No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Okay, get the last word in an argument.
You. Me.
Okay.
All right.
So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I'm starting conflict just because I'm having the last word.
Who is most likely to try on 10 outfits before they decide what to wear?
Her.
Okay. See, they do have differences.
Okay, you do have differences. What would you say your main differences are between just like, and you're not identical, I'm assuming?
We are identical.
Yeah. I think as we've gotten older, we look less alike, but in baby pictures, it's extremely hard to tell.
Yeah.
Differences,
I think in details.
I think in big pictures, I would say I'm a little bit more adventurous than she is. You're a little bit more reserved.
Depends on the environment.
Well, nowadays, I feel like.
I'm more patient. I feel like you always want an answer.
I'm probably a little bit more outspoken or like opinionated.
Very.
I love it.
I love this. This is so interesting.
I think we actually need to do a podcast topic on twins. Like, twins are so fascinating behaviorally. That's like, Martha, write that down. That is like,
yes, it's so interesting.
my nieces are twins, and it's like a forever. Maybe you guys, and we'll get into the topic, but I have twin girl nieces. They're 7 years old, and like everything is a competition. It's like, she walked out the door first. It's like, dude, the same door was open for you. You could also walk through it. Like, it's fine. Like, she always gets to hug you first, auntie. I'm like, I swear, like, everything is a fight. And I'm like, and they're
we're
like,
not competitive in that nature at all. But I do feel like when it comes to sibling rivalry, it's usually, because sometimes go back. Yeah, I think it's more common with twins maybe because you're so close. But she and I were never competitive. But I will say, like, for example, if we have a disagreement, but then somebody else were to chime in or whatever, then she and I would like bond together over and stop having our disagreement. So like no one can come between us.
Like protect
but she
it.
and I can.
I love it. And did you go to the same college and stuff?
Yeah.
Are you those twins who like did the same things always? Do you live right by each other?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Is the cool.
This is amazing. How far do you live from each other?
5 miles.
Well, you live really close to your sister.
I live
Like
5
down the
houses.
street.
I live 5 houses.
Yeah.
But we're not twins.
We're a block from each other for the longest time, but now we're 5 miles.
Are you married to twins?
No.
Or are you divorced from the same twins?
I don't know how that would go. That would actually, I think we need our space from each other. Even though we're extremely close, we still need like our space to like breathe.
It's behavior, bitches.
Hey, it's Liat. Want $100 off the Live Collective? Well, right now you can get that using coupon code EARLYAF. You'll get 12 weeks, which is filled with 24 classes of every single thing you need to know for the BCBA or BCABA exam. We will be your study trainers with everything you should be doing at exactly what time. If you're stressed about looking at the Cooper book, fear no more, we're here. Head on over to studynotesaba.com/collectives and grab your seat.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so let's get into the topic today. Thank you. That was just like a rant on the side because twins are cool. All right, are you ready for this? So anyone who's listening, today's topic is about divorce and co-parenting. This is something that I could speak to personally as a single mom raising a 4-year-old son. And we've been divorced for 3 years now. Time flies when you're divorced and co-parenting, having fun. I think what you talk about is going to be very helpful to a lot of people. So my first question for you is, especially now as twins, I want to know, how did you both get into this field of work?
So after undergrad, we started volunteering at a crisis hotline where kids would call into the crisis hotline after they had ran away from home. And we'd have to figure out why they ran away from home. And we would also help then call their parents and initiate and bridge the gap between why they ran away from home and what was the consequences if they did return home. And if we were able to create a resolution, we would book them a free Greyhound bus ticket to get them back home.
And that's what inspired us to get our master's in marriage and family therapy. And we later on became coaches and certified mediators.
Did you guys grow up with parents who were divorced?
Yes. Our parents were divorced when we were 3.
Was it like do you remember that being a difficult divorce, or like you didn't know any different?
Our parents are pretty amicable between each other. I think our biggest thing is when they both got remarried in terms of like our step parents, but otherwise in terms of our parents, they predominantly tried to work together until this day, even though they both have been remarried for 35 some years.
Wow.
New kids, more children, they can still like if a family member was to pass on either one side of their family, they would still show respect for the other parent. So I think we have a very unique one, which is why we always want to help people resolve their co-parenting issues, because it is possible if you have two people who can really like understand that it's really about the children and not about either parent at the end of the day.
The book that you wrote is called Boundary Badass, which it feels like I need to read it just in every area of my life. Like boundaries, like whether it's like the book by Cloud and who, you know, that the famous Boundaries book. I haven't,
Yes.
like boundaries is just like not my thing in general. I'm not great at it, as you know, Kara.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like
mean,
an
I think
open-
it's just so hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Keeping them.
But what inspired this book specifically? Like if you're working in this space, what was like, okay, actually we're going to focus on the boundary part of it.
So we grew up in a rural town of 900 people and moved to a metropolitan city of 3 million, which was a huge culture shock for us. And where we grew up, we were used to people having integrity, being heard and understood. And when we moved to a metropolitan city, um, we didn't feel heard or understood or respected by others. And so that was a very challenging moment for us. And we first started implementing our method in running our first company that we had. And so it kind of was all about mutual agreements and bridging the gap. And so our boundary method is all about co-creating boundaries in relationships in order to have two perspectives come together as if we were like mediating and finding a common ground based on a shared value within that relationship.
It's really interesting work and hard work what you do because, you know, I mean, first of all, now that I am a single parent, like I'm like, oh, mine actually doesn't seem that bad how like toxic it went, whatever it is. Because like now that I'm dating other people who also have kids, I'm like, there is so much to think about when there are kids involved, exes, and it's like I don't know if people realize that when you get a divorce, if you need to get a divorce, like no matter what you have to deal with after is worth it if you're really that miserable. But like you are doing a group project with someone that the last person you choose to do that project with for the rest of your life. Like that's how I think of it. It's like
That's actually a really good explanation.
you are literally doing a group project with someone who oftentimes possibly hates you.
Like you wouldn't choose if you could, you know?
No, it'd be like last on the team.
Yeah.
If I could choose like, oh, I want you on my basketball team, it'd be like, yeah.
And you're also, if you're dealing with high conflict or someone who's coercive, they're also self-sabotaging that project at the same time that you're collaborating on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it adds a whole nother layer of stress.
Right. So can you, as behavior analysts, we like to operationally define everything. Can you operationally define what you would call a boundary? What is a boundary? And why do so many of us suck at setting them?
Yes. Please tell us.
I think a lot of us suck at setting boundaries is because it's not something you really like grew up learning in the home. We didn't learn it in school, but it's really all about resolving conflict. And I think a lot of times people shy away from conflict when really conflict can be an opener in order to get to a more growth or peaceful path moving forward in the relationship. It brings clarity to the dynamic. And a lot of times I think people might fear like that person might not talk to me ever again, or they're going to react and they're going to flip out on me if I set a boundary. And so I think that's why a lot of times people shy away from them. But really, I think because a lot of people use trauma-informed boundaries, which our method is a little bit different. So trauma-informed boundaries are very unilateral. It's like, if you don't comply with X, like if you don't call me back by 7 p.m., I'm like never going to talk to you ever again. So that's like a unilateral boundary. And so more than likely the other person is not going to comply because they're being threatened or their demand is being placed on to them. So it's a one-sided projection. Where we do boundaries as co-creating and we're negotiating and trying to understand clarity from each person's perspective. And so that allows each person to have a voice in the boundary in order for the relationship to move forward.
So let's say you get someone into a mediation session, right? I'm assuming a lot of mediation is done before people like to like be like, okay, let's avoid going to court. Cost everyone a lot of money. Is that like what you're doing during mediation? I'm assuming sometimes.
We mediate parenting plans.
Okay, so you get people in there, right? And both parents love the kid, let's say, in this example, hopefully. Now, you are trying to get to a solution, whatever it is, of like, okay, this should be the new parenting schedule. You know, obviously this is not working. The kid's school is located this many hours away. Maybe they should be staying by you, whatever. How are you personally getting past when someone comes in, and I'm just like imagining someone comes in and they're like, they're still bitter about something. So everything in between is like, well, if you weren't a piece of shit, if you weren't a cheater, if we weren't a this, right? And then how are you guys bringing it back to the kids?
So in those moments, we do provide guidelines in terms of how to communicate before mediation begins, but also in those moments, we would ask like, how is this helpful to reaching a resolution regarding your child? So asking a discovery question, challenging their thought process and perspective in a very confident yet calm manner helps us redirect the conversation back to the child.
The only way to deal with challenging personalities is to frame questions in a way that makes them have to think about their demand, if it's benefiting them or really benefiting the child.
I like that.
Do you find people who are like literally just cannot hear that and are like, you're like, okay,
Or like up and leave? Like, do you have any?
So then I might rephrase it in a different way to help them see a perspective, or
ask what's holding them back from wanting to create a solution or move forward.
It boils down to stability for the child at the end of the day. So that is our number one goal, is to creating consistency and stability. And most of the time, if you're dealing with somebody who is kind of stuck in their ego in terms of how they operate, they can only see as far as the lens of how it's like benefiting their needs. And so you really have to be strategic in positioning that it's benefiting them, but it's also benefiting their child simultaneously.
right.
Did you ever do any mediation for yours?
No, you know, I'll tell you, like, now that I look back at my divorce and like I see other people getting divorced, and I'm like, holy shit, I had it good. Like, I was in a position that I was not needing to request money from my spouse. I didn't need to rely on him for anything. It kind of was the opposite way around. So that is not, I would, like, I do see how that's very different when you're relying on someone for something.
Yeah.
But no, we agree to disagree, I think.
So do people reach out to you? Like they're like, we're struggling, or how do like people find you?
Oh yeah, people reach out to us all the time. People find us either on Instagram or through our like website.
Hell yeah, people reach out. When you are going through this, you don't know where the fuck to go. I'll tell you that. Like when you are like, I cannot
Like
deal with this
desperate?
person one more second, or like you're trying to keep your cool with your ex, you're trying to do this, and then the next thing they like, I see it more now because of a relationship that I'm currently in. Like, and I'll tell you, it's like when you're dating some, like
When you see
there's
the
an
other
ex
side, yeah.
involved and there's kids, and like people try sabotage things. It's like, oh, you go pick up your kids from school, and it's like, oh, she already picked up the kids. I didn't tell you, and you don't know where they're located because she now knows that you're dating someone else and doesn't want the kids. Like, there's all crazy stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be differences whether you're just dealing with a regular divorce and there just being miscommunication or things like that versus dealing with coercive control. Like we see the worst of the worst. Like everything that we're working with is children being withheld for weeks or months at a time, children in neglectful, abusive situations, like 5 and 7-year-olds being left home alone. And these are, professional people that are just neglecting their children's everyday basic needs, or they're weaponizing the child against the other parent in order to gain control and leverage, and using them as a pawn in a game of chess, pretty much.
What does one do in that situation when a parent is consistently bringing the child in, right? Like you're like, I want to keep them safe if this is adult problems, whatever it is. Like the kids saw enough of it when we were living together. Now we're separate. But like, let's say the child comes over. Let's say it was my child. The child comes over to my house and they're like, I'm just confused what's going on because dad said you left us or whatever it is. Like, what advice do you give?
Storytelling.
Yeah. What advice do you give there?
So that's when you want to just help your child understand, well, what do you think? What do you believe is true or false based on, your relationship with mom or dad, and really help the child use their critical and creative thinking skills and get them to create their own narrative. But at the same time, you're better off trying to encourage and educate your child to continue advocating and speaking up, but also know that the more you bring up with your coercive ex, the more they're going to continuously say things to that child, so the child keeps repeating. So you almost don't want to alert them unless it's some form of endangerment. But if it's more or less emotional or psychological abuse, that's where you want to just try to help your child in your home.
It's behavior, bitches.
Are you a BCBA now and you are sad because you hate your job? Are you thinking, I worked so effing hard and here I am, dreading Monday? Well, you're not the only one. We get that message all the time and we decided to do something about it. Welcome our newest baby, Pair ABA by Study Notes ABA. What is this? Well, we pair you with jobs that you actually don't hate. Imagine that. Imagine going to work on Monday and being excited about it. Imagine working somewhere where you're appreciated, you're paid well, they're doing ethical practice, and you love what you do. Well, that's not impossible because we have formed Pair ABA, where we talk to clinics that we would actually want to work at. We're not going to send you anywhere. We are assessing these clinics to see, are they doing the good work? Are they not telling you one thing and then having you do another thing once you sign on? If you're concerned that you're not happy or you're feeling unsettled where you are, don't settle. Don't settle in relationships. Don't settle in work. Realize your value. Let us help you find a job where you are happy. All you need to do is head on over to pairaba.com. The response effort is low. Fill out the form so we can help you find job options near you. If you're a clinic and you think you're good enough for us to place at, also head over to pairaba.com. And we will see, are you good enough for our badass BCBAs who we protect? Go check it out, pairaba.com. Love you, mean it. So this coercive control, you keep using this word. And if anyone goes and looks on Instagram, you guys have this word all over repeatedly. What is coercive control and who's considered a coercive parent? Help us understand.
Usually someone's a coercive parent. They definitely have personality complexities involved in terms of how or why they're operating it the way that they are. They are set on punishing their ex for either divorcing them or leaving them, or even if they are the one that chose to left or leave the marriage, they still might be intimidated by their ex in some way, shape, or form, like the relationship they have with the children. And so they intentionally then try to fracture that bond that the children have with their other parent out of envy or jealousy in order to try to win over the children. And so most of the time it's emotional, psychological, and financial abuse, I would say, are the biggest factors that we see. Sometimes there are other forms of more dangerous as well. A lot of our clients might have protection orders in place because their lives have been threatened. So it gets pretty severe at some point in time for some of our cases.
But it's a very subtle pattern that happens over a period of time. These people aren't right out being malicious or manipulative. And so being able to dissect the black and white communication that they use is very critical, because from one person, if you do not know them, it's going to look like they're being very kind, very generous, and collaborative. Where if you know this person and their pattern over a history, it's the complete opposite.
Does this have any connection to narcissistic personality disorder?
Yes, some of them have more, I would say more the covert narcissistic personality or even the borderline personality. And sometimes also antisocial are the more common ones that we see.
Yeah.
Which could be so frustrating, I imagine, to one of the parents because, you know, you have someone who like to everyone else just seems incredible, like so friendly, loving, amazing, best parent. And then like you're dealing with this shit on the other side.
I think the most frustrating thing for our clients is the court system has failed them over and over, and they don't see the coercive control. Even though it's only a law in a few states and a few countries, it's still coming around and it's still new. The system is not trained in able to see what's happening on a deeper level, which is why we do the behavioral documentation analysis of the communications.
What does that look like? As behavior analyst, I want to know what is that?
So we're going through the co-parenting communications or any sort of evidence that might be from doctors or could be from extracurricular activity coaches, any sort of documentation that they might have in terms of the other parent hindering or withholding or impacting the child's life in a negative way. And so we're reading through all the communications or evidence, and we are providing the behavioral analysis of what is actually happening on a bigger scale and reading between the lines of what is written on paper. And we categorize it all according to, so we're bridging the gap between psychology and law, and we're categorizing it according to different things that would be relevant in a court case.
Which then allows your attorney to position the narrative and really help advocate for you. Because if you're not able to advocate for yourself, it's going to be really hard sometimes for an attorney really to speak up and advocate your case just because they have such a huge caseload. So you are your biggest and best advocate to building your own case. And this is one way to really help create that strategy in order to get a clear picture.
Because you can't use the terminology, oh, they're a narcissist.
Right. I'm saying everyone uses that. Everyone uses the term narcissist. And it's like,
well, you can't use that language in court either. So you have to paint the picture of what the behavior is in order to give them an understanding of what you're experiencing. So we're turning emotional or even emotional experiences, trauma experiences into actual legitimate documentation.
So that's
Like
very similar.
Yeah.
That's basic data collection of what we do also in our field. Someone's like, okay, the kid's tantruming. It's like, okay, well, what does a tantrum look like? Or this kid's just acting like a jerk. It's like, okay, well, we're going to need to operationally define what is a jerk, right? Or like you're saying, like, this person's narcissistic. What are they doing? They are withholding, withholding attention with all those different things.
Well, a lot of our clients' children they don't have the words or the communication to say what they're experiencing. So it does come out through behavioral expression. So a lot of the children might be having tantrums, and normally they have tantrums in the safe parent's house, not in the coercive parent's house, because they're terrified of that parent. And so they don't feel safe to really express their true feelings. So it's the safe parent who gets all the tantrums in their house. Or a lot of it's like, regression with, bathroom habits, or maybe they're acting out in school now. So a lot of the behavior comes out that we analyze as well of the children.
We also help people who are studying for this exam. And this just brings up the perfect example of what we call behavioral contrast. And behavioral contrast is, let's say that mom and dad are not like on the same page of like, okay, you know what? We're going to punish cursing. So like in one house, if the mom's like, we're not going to if you curse, I'm putting soap in your mouth, right? What actually happens is if dad's not doing that in his house, the cursing's going to go up there. Or like if one parent is like not at all allowing the child to have any sort of like emotional reaction in one house, you'll see it will go down there, right? They're punishing that behavior, but you're going to see more of these emotional outbursts at the other parent's house. So you were saying kind of like that safe space versus the not safe space. And so which obviously when you're divorced, it's hard getting parents on the same page. So I'm sure you see a lot of this like behavioral contrast, which makes it even harder on the parents.
Well, usually if you're addressing something that, say, for example, the child's having accidents and they've regressed in potty training, if you're trying to address that with a coercive parent, they're like, well, that's not happening in my house. Give me a break. More than likely the child is regressing in both households. It's just the other parent's not wanting to admit what's happening because they don't want to look like they're doing something wrong, even though the child is clearly emotionally dysregulated and cannot control their bowel movements because they can't control the environment around them. And so that's why they're having struggles.
Is that a common one? Like, and you're saying it's valid? Because I've heard different things with like regressing with like a lot of trauma and with like wetting the bed at an older age, or is bowel movements also?
No, both bowel movements, because they sometimes will be constipated also because they're withholding it as well. Food habits also become a way to create control in their life.
Yeah, sleep hygiene changes often. They're fearful to sleep alone because of whatever that's going on in the other household. Especially if they feel like if they get left home alone, when they go back then to the compassionate co-parents home, they're fearful to sleep alone because they're fearful they're going to be left or abandoned. So,
and then like the handover, like they feeling they're going back to that place is just like.
I was gonna say, do you ever get called into court? Like, do you have to like testify or anything on this stuff?
No, we don't. That's just something that we don't offer
Oh, okay. So you hand over what you analyzed to the parent to give to
to
their
our
attorney.
clients, and they usually give it to their lawyers. Sometimes we'll do a collaboration consult with their lawyers as well to explain anything that they might have. I mean, it's pretty straightforward in terms of understanding behavioral patterns, and we provide a cumulative numeric summary of everything as well. So it's pretty clear for lawyers to use.
I have just an interesting question. This is not on my questions I was going to ask, but I was just thinking of, maybe because my algorithm is targeted to me as a female, but any of like the divorce things I follow, or, just co-parenting, raising your kids, whatever it is, are predominantly towards females. And it's the narrative of, like the common thing that you associate is like the word. And by the way, I know everyone casually uses the word narcissist, but like the word narcissist, you often like have it associated with a male. Or like, are you seeing an equal amount of people coming to you, both females and males?
We work with both. Yes.
We focus more on healthy and unhealthy behaviors, not a gender.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying, but like, are you seeing like like you see both sides coming in?
Yes, we do have both sides coming in.
Cool.
Because often what you'll see with females, they're dealing with more of the covert narcissistic or overt narcissist, where the males are dealing with more borderlines.
Like the females are more borderline that the men are dealing with?
Correct. Yes.
And life, Okay, so this is interesting. We have a lot, we work with a lot of kids in the space of like autism and Kara, you were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, so like I've seen a lot. I used to do in-home services. But we would have divorced parents. So I would give or provide services at the mom's house, and then I would go to the dad's house, and it was always just a consistent battle. I don't think I had one family that was on the same page, or like dad would not follow through with this, or mom wouldn't follow through with this, and it's so hard, especially when you're a child who needs services. So do you run into that a lot with like? Do you have any clients with services that are going to and from houses, and how do you kind of get them on the same
what
page?
you're describing, I have cases exactly like that, and it's frustrating and it's confusing for the child, and they express that as well, because one household has no limits or boundaries, where the other household is trying to instill, limits and boundaries. And especially with like autistic children, they need that kind of support. They need to understand structure. They need to know what's safety or what's unsafe. And it can be really hard when one parent is completely dismissive and not willing to learn, ABA, behavior, OT, physical therapy, whatever the child needs services for, and not willing to actually understand or support that child.
And sometimes coercive parents won't pay for services like that as well. And if it's joint decision making, it puts the child at a disadvantage when they need something like that.
Very much so. Yeah.
Wow. So like, even if a parent is like, I want to get my kid in therapy in general, like I can see this divorce has really had a like big, my kid is now like having like bowel movements and whatever it is. Both parents have to sign on. That's okay. Even if one parent pays for it.
If it's joint decision making, if you have sole decision making, then that parent can proceed forward. But primarily, most of the cases nowadays are joint decision making. So yeah, then you need both parents to be in agreement. Just like if they were to go to a medical doctor or any other school you're signing up for, both parents have to agree.
But often it'll be a long dispute in regards to getting the child into therapy, because they don't want the child to express what's going on in the coercive co-parent's home. They're trying to protect them from like CPS being called, or DCF, whatever is in your state or county, because they want their home to be kept silent.
So they're like protecting from CPS, but really like not protecting them from CPTSD. PTSD.
PTSD.
I always have to like, right? PTSD.
Yes, PTSD.
Whenever I put the C in front of it, I suddenly can't say PTSD.
Yes.
Sorry, my brain just went there, but I'm just thinking.
I've had clients though, like, so if one house refuses to have it there, then I've done it in like a different setting, or they've approved to me. But I think it's to, like you said, kind of hide I guess, maybe their home or what they're doing in their home. Like, they haven't allowed me to be in their home, but they've agreed to services, but it just has to be like, I can see them at school or a different setting or the grandma's house. But I've had that too.
But that's also to control the situation and to make sure that they have control over the whole dynamic.
Which ultimately is screwing over the kid. Because if
Well,
you have behavior
yeah.
things you want to work on in their home, like independently using the bathroom or showering, and now it's like, we'll do it at a random house that's not even your shower. It's like
Yeah, and I feel like
not
they're-
as effective.
Yeah, and I feel like they always do like, we should be thankful that they said yes, that we can do it here. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Even as the provider,
I told
feel
you,
that,
you're literally doing a group project with someone you would never want to do a group project with.
Yes.
It's
like the last ever.
yes.
Yes.
They're going to constantly be moving like the goalpost, no matter which you agree today, but tomorrow it's a different, discussion. It's a different goal. Like it's never going to be very strategic, very, one line to the next line. It's zigzags.
Yeah, or they cancel a lot. Or I've had like that parent usually then canceled a lot. So then it was like no shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was just always chaotic with that. Like, why couldn't we just show up at this time? But yeah, it was even difficult as the provider. And I have no like emotional, so the other parent, yeah, I'm sure it was so difficult.
It's because they're prioritizing their own needs. They probably had to like go to the gym or something instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it usually wasn't like a real excuse. They never
Yeah,
really
it's not
gave us.
usually a real legitimate reason. It's not an emergency. They're just choosing to prioritize themselves over the child.
That's so true. It always was a lame excuse.
Well, and prioritizing themselves so that it like is inconvenient for the other person. So it's like, I'm not going to go get the kid now because, well, first of all, I'll show up 30 minutes late. I don't care because I know they're going to be with their dad or with their mom or whatever it is. But now the kid is not having it's just, it's so
just
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put most of the emotional burden and workload on the safe parent.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you see a lot of burnout from the safe parent then, right? Like exhaustion.
Yeah, they're definitely frustrated, exhausted, hopeless. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if, like a child needs to have a wellness visit or checkup medical, like that parent, usually they have to consult with each other on times or days. And then once it gets booked, then often sometimes they'll cancel it or they'll, not show up, even though it was like they needed to be a specific day, their time, and then there are no show. It's like they constantly just want you to be on pins and needles. Just to control you and punish you.
Or they'll intentionally put every appointment on the safe parent to control their time and make them run around town or whatever so that they don't have to do any of the workload. It's a way they try to control your time afterwards as well. So it's like they will plan everything for the child, activities, everything you can possibly manage it is only on the safe parent's time. They'll agree to it, but not on their time. Like their time is their time.
Or like potentially if like, let's say it's like the one parent's time off, the other parent will find things as like stressors to be like, let me go ahead and try and make sure their time off is even stressful. Like, let me go ahead and add this in, even if it's 2 a.m. in the morning, let me go ahead and add this in, even though it's something that like came up 2 weeks ago, or, just like, let me see where I could get in here. Like it's, when I talk about this, I'm literally like, thank God this was not my experience, because with my like health autoimmune stuff, I would definitely be hospitalized throughout all of it, like that amount of stress. But like, it's nitty gritty. If you want to talk about like tit for fucking tat, this is it.
So do you like coach or do you coach each parent separately sometimes? Like if you have the safe parent, are you coaching them to help to deal with the coercive parent? Or do you do it both? Is your main thing both?
Most times, primarily, it's mostly safe parents that are coming to us who need help in terms of communicating and advocating for their children with the coercive co-parent is primarily who we work with. There are times where we do work with co-parents together, and each one of us will work with one parent, and then we also come together for sessions. But that person has to either, most of the time they have a victim mentality. If it's the coercive parent, they have such a extreme victim mentality, think that we're going to not see through them and fall for their like sob story, even though they're creating all this chaos and still making everything about them.
It's behavior, bitches.
Okay, wait. I'm like really excited about this one. We are starting the Behavior Bitches book club. It's about time. I mean, we need this, and we have the best book to start, and you could be a part of it. Our first virtual meetup will be on March 18th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be having Dr. Maya Shankar there with us, the author of the book that we chose, The Other Side of Change. This book is an incredible read. I have read it, and if you have not listened to the podcast with Dr. Maya, you better head over and listen to that now as well. This book talks about when we in life have changes that we would never have asked for or planned for, and how we come out on the other side, and how do we come out even better. So this is a book that's great for the year. It will be the motivation you need. It's just, there's solid, real stories in there. As you know, we like to keep it real, raw, and relatable. This book is definitely that. You can join this book club by grabbing yourself a copy of the book. We'll link that in the notes under the video, as well as using the link to join the virtual book club. Can't wait to see you there. It's gonna be fun. Dress cozy.
So interesting, too.
Okay, so now we have divorced parents with kids. That's already like a complexity. Now let's add in new romantic partners. Right?
Who also have kids in co-parenting.
Or no, they could have kids, they could not have kids,
Okay.
whatever it is. But now we're adding in another person's feelings and another person's life. How does this add another level that I'm assuming that you see come in? And that's probably also what upped the ante of like the pissed off divorced person.
Yeah.
So in our parenting agreements that we create, we usually put that one parent has to be in a monogamous relationship for at least 6 months prior to introducing to the child. That way the child's not being introduced to every new partner that comes into that parent's life.
Sometimes it can be up to a year.
Correct. But most courts will only approve 6 months. We definitely prefer 9 months or a year. But then you can also put like there's no sleepovers with that parent either until they've reached a certain point. We also put with the new partner or step parent where they can not do any disciplinary. They can do driving for transportation, maybe to and from like sports, but they will not be in doing any disciplinary action. And then new partners cannot have the title of mom or dad. And those should be reserved for only biological parents only. So those are like some of the main provisions we would put in a parenting agreement in regards to that.
It's a lot to think
No,
about.
it is. Like all these details or things you don't like think about. Or I'm assuming they get faced with them. Or like, you know, like you get divorced and then there's a new person and they're like, wait, what do I do? Or what's
Like
the best
just
protocol?
like take it like this, okay? Think about when you're younger dating someone and you go through a bad breakup. You hear this girl is now dating your boyfriend and you're like, are you kidding me?
And you stalk her on
Even though we
Instagram.
broke up 6 months ago, you stalk her on Instagram, you do this, you do all the different things. But now you share kids with this person. You're like legit connected. Like it's
for life.
It's for life. It's crazy. And now as the new partner coming in,
I mean,
like it's a big thing to take on because you're not like, you're also like, whoa, I'm taking on this drama as well. Right?
Do you ever coach like the new partner, like, or if they get married, do you like coach them and how to deal with like co-parenting?
Yeah, I have actually a blended family situation now where I coach both a mom and a dad, the couple, the married couple, but they both have coercive exes. And so and have blended families. And so it's a very intense dynamic with all the different layers playing out.
Yeah. No, I bet. And especially if the other has kids too.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother layer.
There's
Just
just
layers
a lot.
up.
Layer on layer on layer. Exactly. So what would you say when you see a couple come in and you're like, this is definitely like very toxic, high conflict. What's the biggest mistakes you see parents make in those situations?
Well, the compassionate co-parent often will stay silent or forego some of the things that they need to speak up about in regards to safety because they're fearful of what the coercive co-parent may say or do just because of their own personal experience. Like you said, they may have the PTSD or a freeze trauma response. And so in those situations, they're often have difficulty expressing if they are with the co-parent is present. So sometimes we have to separate or do individual calls to help them find that voice to communicate. That's probably one of the biggest things is not feeling safe to speak up. So we really try to help people find their voice to advocate for their children.
Yeah, I
Wow.
could see that. Like, or
Especially
staying
like if someone
silent.
has like financial like control potentially, like you don't really want to say certain things, I'm assuming, like even though, you know,
Well, yeah, like you said, you're always on like pins and needles around them. I'm sure like staying silent is technically easier in a way because like they're or they're just escaping.
Like avoidance or escape.
Yeah, avoidance or escape. But it's also not healthy, obviously.
Yeah, I actually want to so in behavior we talk a lot about approaches if there's a behavior and we want to decrease it, we talk about something called extinction. And extinction is and let's just use an example of a kid having a tantrum, right? And we're and they're having the tantrum because they want they want candy at the store, okay? Or so what I'm going to do is they're not getting that candy for that, right? Or if the function is attention, they want attention, I'm definitely not giving them attention for that. But what's going to happen? First, when I provide zero attention, the behavior is going to get much worse. The tantrum's not just going to go from a little wah. Now they're kicking, screaming, breaking things down in the house, right? And it gets much worse before the behavior actually decreases. So I think I would imagine for some of these behaviors, I'm wondering, is this something that when you're working with high conflict parents that you would recommend being you know what, you can't reinforce that. So if this parent's going to come in and tell you I think our kid broke their leg or at 2 a.m. or even though the kid's sleeping or I would be okay, I'm just saying, looking at this behavior, I'd probably be okay, I wouldn't reinforce that. I wouldn't respond. Right. But then some people may up the ante. Do you think this is a strategy that could work? Extinction, meaning
ignoring those behaviors,
ignoring if the function is attention,
not responding to texts, or if they're just trying to probe them all the time.
So the coercive co-parent is always typically trying to bait the other parent to get a reaction out of them, which is attention-seeking behavior. If they sent a message a child broke their leg, then yes, we'd want to respond, but they should be calling for emergency services. But if they're sending fake messages about that, then
okay, I shouldn't have said break a leg. I should have been something that has no something behind it. I think this kid was touched at your house, right? Or something along the lines where you're what? That's gonna evoke a reaction, or something that is going to yeah,
they're always creating chaos in order to get a reaction out of the other parent, because if they create enough chaos and the other person, the safe parent, gets reactive, then that's how they regain control of the situation. So we recommend you should never defend yourself to these types of personalities. You just want to shut down the conflict. And if they're making false accusations, we recommend shutting it down. Otherwise, if the court were to read through your co-parenting app at some point in time when you go to court, if there's something in there that they made an accusation of that you didn't shut down or say this is false accusation or mischaracterization, I'm not going to engage in this. If you didn't say that, it could look like you're indirectly agreeable to what they're saying. So there's very strategic strategy in communicating with these types of people. And if you were to, for a child, you ignore a tantrum and you don't give them the attention that they want, that doesn't work with a coercive personality. They usually up the ante and they just continue. And the older they get, the worse their personality gets. And so it gets to be more extreme. And if they're feeling ignored, they will find a way to get your attention. And usually it's something worse.
I mean, even most of our clients use a court-ordered app or email.
Which apps would you recommend to a parent who is
in a situation like this?
So you could use Talking Parents or Our Family Wizard are probably the two most popular ones. And you're able to create categories and have calendars and submit financial reimbursements. So both of those work fairly well. And they're both able to be downloaded for court. So
interesting. Do any of these apps have the capabilities of deleting rude things someone writes, that it could be so someone's you motherfucker, blah 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 blah, pickups at this time, you shitty tiny dick asshole, right? Can it be
once you send it, I don't think you can delete it.
No, but what I'm saying, not only that, is that it's you could actually have a conversation. The person could be going ham all they want, sex with you sucked, you lasted 3 seconds, you cheating piece of shit, blah 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 blah. Pickups at 6, jerk. And then it would be it could I thought of this idea for an app. What? I was it deletes all that and it's pickups at 6. So parents you feel like you're getting it out, but it's only taking the important part of the chat.
You release it, but it only sends the important part.
So it calms you down and deletes only the factual information that's
Yeah.
That's actually really
It's like whore, 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 whore. I packed lunch for him today.
Yeah.
And you only see that.
That's actually be really good.
It's a good idea, right? No?
I like it.
I mean, most people are very composed in terms of how they communicate. They're not making any sort of slanderous or derogatory any comment towards their co-parent. They like know better.
Yeah, they're control, or they're like manipulating.
Or they'll
in
like
a
do
way.
like the delete option. Like delete text.
Like where?
Well,
Oh,
we don't recommend text because it's very hard to track the patterns that way, especially if you want to be able to show an overall, because otherwise it's much easier to categorize your emails or your messages in co-parenting apps, because then you can go back to find those. You want to have categories of specific things that you're actually, in order to document the pattern of behavior.
so it's like categories like pickup or like doctor's appointments, like that. Like what?
It would be medical or health appointments. Dental falls under that category. Extracurricular activities, parenting time. It might be even in regards to
Holidays,
children in the middle. So if the children becomes a messenger, it could be violations of the parenting agreement.
That's pretty cool to have those categories.
No, it's like the ultimate data collection app.
Yeah,
It
I
sounds
was
like
gonna
one of
say.
our like ABA apps we use.
Yeah. Data speaks.
Yeah. Data's greater than an opinion, you know? Okay, what other question? Actually, we had a question come in.
Oh yes.
We wrote to our audience at what topic we were doing today, and we had a question come in. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
What do you do if you slipped, lose your cool, and gave a reaction to the ex that wanted you to? How do you regain your footing after that?
I mean, it all depends, I think, on what you said. But if you said something and it's obviously being recorded in the app, and then you want to retract that, the mature thing would be like, look, I'm sorry, I got heated earlier in regards to what you sent me. I apologize. Can we just move forward? I would just apologize for getting heated if that's what you did.
And would you say no phone calls?
Correct. To these people, like even parent-child phone calls, you have to be very careful with too. But when you're dealing with someone that's like very coercive, only written communication is going to be your best way, because that's the only way you can really provide evidence as well. Unless both people agree to a phone call and your state allows consent. So it depends on each different states too in terms of recordings. Now some states allow you to record the other party, and people use that to give to their attorney in regards to maybe something that's happening during a parenting time exchange. But otherwise, just to talk about agreements or decisions, written communication is the only way to go.
Okay, to end this with like a little bit of hope, to anyone who's hearing this, who's like on the like the edge of thinking about getting divorced, and you're really unhappy, I'm still going to tell you that no matter how difficult things are, like if you are really in a horrible relationship, I believe personally, this is no data backing it, but like whatever you have to deal with after could be worth it if you are so like unhappy and unsafe and feel like on eggshells where you are. So that's number one. That's my advice. I don't know what you guys would say.
I don't think any of our clients regret getting divorced. I think they did it because it was in their best interest in order to get out of that environment.
And most of them, the children have a better home 50% of the time versus seeing the conflict going back and forth between the two parents. So we're just presenting some of the most intense cases.
Right. No, I mean, that's what the topic was today. The one was more intense. No, in general, I was just thinking, like, yeah, have you seen anyone come in with like such a high conflict? You're like, this situation is really not good. And you have had like you got to feel the satisfaction of being like, wow, this couple,
Like they made it
ex-couple,
work.
family has really done a 180.
So I was doing a parenting agreement for a couple, and they lived in two separate states. They failed court order mediation. Neither attorney could get them on board, and I was able to successfully complete their parenting plan. It took a few extra hours, but we got it done, where they had failed all court ordered help or even with their attorney. So I think a lot of time it's like you have to really understand the person and help them see And that's where we really do is try to help people see like the bigger picture and understanding like this is about the child or children involved. It's not so much about either parent and like what's going to work, because at the end of the day, this is where we create those creative solutions versus making it so cookie cutter, where you often see, unfortunately, in situations where people don't have a voice and they're just told that what they have to do.
I think
Awesome.
it's interesting. It sounds like it connects a lot to like what we do also when we look at something, we're like, okay, what's going on here? And really individualizing it. Like there could be two people like engaging in the same behavior, like let's say like banging their head. I'm just whatever it is. And it's like for one person it may be because they have a head, like they have an ear infection, so they're banging their head, right? And like that's what they're doing. For someone else it might be because they know that gets attention. So like you really have to go in and be like, okay, we see this individual who is doing this like crazy, calling their partner their ex 100 times an hour, right? And you kind of have to go in and look at it. It's like, okay, but like, what is the function? Why are they doing this? To like that you can't give like just, I'm assuming just like the same intervention or the same plan for every single person who comes in. Like, oh, okay, this person's having excessive calling behavior or whatever it is. Like you kind of have to really,
like on paper they're the same, or 7-year-old autism. I have another client who's 7-year-old autism, but they're different, right? Just like I'm assuming every family, every situation.
Right. All of our clients learn the same like foundations for communication and dealing with these types of personalities, because at the end of the day, these personality types, they all have kind of the same behaviors. But yes, it's an individualized approach based on that specific person. Because once I understand that person and how they operate, like the coercive co-parent, it's much easier for me to help position things and strategize in communications for the co-parent to send in order to get a resolution. Because even though, say I have like 3 clients and each one of their exes is a covert narcissist, yes, they all present the same pattern behaviors, but at the same time, I'm having to present different solutions to get agreements sometimes. So it can be different and
yeah, because
individualized.
I imagine that's like looking at different MOs, like what motivates different people. Like
Well, I feel like you're doing a little mini assessment, getting to know them. Or how we go in and do assessments.
Yeah.
We kind of see like their skills or what they're doing. So you kind of get to know, and then
yeah, like if you know someone's MO is like, let's say potentially a financial gain, like they need money, maybe that's going to have more power than someone who's,
or doesn't need the money too.
Yeah, who doesn't need the money, and they could keep this going forever. It's a matter of like saving face or whatever it is to them. You kind of really have to like look at what, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, like you said, the individualized approach is going to be your best way to have an amicable co-parenting relationship. Especially too, if you want it to be individualized to your parenting dynamics or households, the more you can stay out of the courtroom, the more success you will have.
And the more of a voice you have in your life and decisions.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah.
So if someone listening right now is in the middle of a nasty custody battle, what's one small thing they could do today for their child to make it like a slight bit easier? Or what's something they could just be like practicing regularly?
I would recommend they learn emotional intelligence skills, critical thinking, and boundaries to help their child, because your child is going to need those, and how to communicate with the child going back and forth between 2 homes. They're going to have a lot of questions, a lot of different behaviors are going to pop up. So the more you can teach your child critical thinking, boundaries, and emotional regulation and emotional intelligence skills, the better your child can advocate for themselves and not get caught by manipulation.
Amazing.
This is very interesting.
Very interesting. Kara's just here like with her perfect marriage, just like, very interesting. It is. I'm just kidding.
But I feel like this is very helpful because
I'm joking. I'm totally kidding. But I like literally feel like when I hear these different things you'll go through, I'm like, okay, mine wasn't so bad.
Yeah, but I even see like on a lot of things, like again, the narcissistic thing always comes up. But like even when I'm scrolling, I know it's a huge, co-parenting, I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't. So this is, I think, very helpful for people going through it. And to see like you can do it, and that there's plans or, resources out there like you all that to help you work through it too. They're not alone. I feel like my style would be like, I need to figure it all out. And I think that's the hardest part too, is like asking for help. Do you see that? Like,
yeah, I think a lot of people don't ask for help until later on after there's already been a court order, and then it's like you're stuck with it, versus trying to do the research and get the support ahead of time before you get a finalized order, is something we often hear or see quite often. And so then like you're trying to reverse orders or try to get the status quo to change, and it's much harder once it's already been established.
So like doing things proactively, like we talk about doing things antecedently as opposed to like consequently.
Yeah.
Like dealing with it after. Like proactively, you could go ahead and call every lawyer in town and ask about working with them, and then now they can no longer work with anyone else, you know? Isn't that true? Is that a thing?
Yeah. But you also have to keep in mind, family court is meant to be reactive. They don't do anything until the child is in danger most of the time. It's a reactive process rather than what we do. Psychology is more of a proactive process in order to help our clients navigate the situations or help them help their children navigate the situation.
So basically, if anyone's going or about to go through co-parenting or going through a divorce, it's like get help now, even if you kind of feel secure, but it's always more information is always better.
Feelings come up, big feelings. Like also, like as you say that is like, it's challenging for any, like you are still going through a huge change in your own life and you're trying to be strong for a child, right? And like, I think a lot of people go into like what might not be best for the child, but they think like, I have to fight for this kid for everything. And some of the fights may actually be more harmful to the kid, right? Of being like, no, I need to fight for more time, this and this and this. And it's like, actually like them having time with the other parent is great, you know? So like people like, it's hard being strong and like smiling to your children or to those around you when you are like battling this in the background.
Yeah, I could totally. Or I feel like you may think it will go pretty easy, and I'm sure you've seen where like then the other parent totally flips on them, or they didn't know that they would be like that.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize, because obviously you're going to get a different person than you were married to. You might, I mean, with Coercive, there's usually patterns of behavior that have popped up, but it only gets worse after the fact that they file for divorce, and so they're not prepared for that usually.
I could see that.
Yeah, you don't know the kind of questions they're going to start asking you. You're like, okay, it's not that hard. What? We'll split this. He'll be between both of us. He doesn't like, I'm sure his dad will be fine if he's with me majority of the time. Like he's barely with him anyways. So, and it's like, when it comes down to that, it's like, no. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, because the Coercive co-parent, this is the thing. Because of their personality type, they're at an internal war with themselves. And that internal war is constantly going to be projected onto the co-parenting dynamic or the children. So it makes it very challenging to get them to listen to anything outside of, their own beliefs or wants. You're dealing with an emotionally underdeveloped person who's basically an adult but throwing tantrums on a regular basis.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And I had fun. The fact that you guys were twins made it so much more fun.
That like started off great. Just like another piece. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Where can everyone find you guys? And where can everyone get a copy of your book?
Yes, you can find us at divorcefamilymediations.com, and you can grab our book, Boundary Badass, on Amazon.
I love the name, by the way.
We love
great
the
name.
We're all about using badass in like everything.
Yes.
So it's perfect.
Great. So also you're on Instagram.
Yes, we are.
You have a lot of great like useful content on there as well, and which I also think is great for, anyone who is going through a divorce or considering it. Like really like these resources out there are very helpful. I found just like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yes. I think that's the thing.
We have a lot of, everything we do is psychology based, but from a Coercive perspective and dealing with family law. And we do have lots of scripts as well on our website, especially for parents who need to help their children. We have one that's called creating courageous children, and that's helping teach your child how to talk to them when they're going through this with the emotional intelligence and the critical thinking questions to help them process without projecting the parent's belief system from either side onto the child.
Yeah, without creating that a bigger divide for the child.
Oh, that's cool.
Well,
because sometimes the children feel like they have to live two separate lives.
Right. I could keep this conversation going forever, but I'm not. To honor your time. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Kara, thanks for co-hosting with me. It's so nice to have you in here, not doing it alone.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Thank you so much.
And
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So that's all we have for you guys today. You know where you could find us. You could find us on our website, behaviorbitches.com, where you can reach out with any comments, topic, guests, positive reinforcement. I'll always take that. Oh, also, please, everyone, I know I'm not reading the reviews of the day anymore because my dad actually is the one who's like, I'm so sick of you reading your reviews of the day at the beginning of the episodes, even though I liked it for myself, for my own ego. So, but please go leave 5-star reviews wherever you leave your reviews because I still live for those. And you could find us on YouTube. Please go subscribe. We really are trying to build that channel. On YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, at Behavior Bitches Podcast. And that's all we have for you today. So until next time, love ya.
Mean it.
It's behavior bitches.
Hey, Behavior Bitches besties. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time and stopping and watching all of our content on YouTube. We put a lot of effort into putting these podcasts into YouTube. That means I have to get dressed for the day, do my makeup, and actually show up when I used to come in looking completely homeless to record because no one could see my face. This being said, for us to keep doing this, we live for your subscription. So please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and like and leave us comments and love. Live for the love and keep tuning in, and you'll always know when our new episode drops. Love you. Mean it.